All right, as we do on Mondays, we always look at our course outline. It's good to keep what we're responsible for in mind and what's coming up. So we were working last week all on our spot illustrations. Last Monday, a week ago, we were doing our vector line art and digital inking off of our spot illustration ideas and sketches, and that theme is VOTE, any way you wanted to interpret that. Last class on Wednesday, we were doing computer coloring, like digital coloring behind our line art. And those basics are flat color, duotone, and full spectrum. I'll try to remind you of those. As long as you have some form of digital coloring, you have met the requirements. It's up to you how complicated you want to make your digital coloring sandwich, right? But I'm going to continue with that this morning and show you some of the special effects we can put on top of your black line art layers, like olives with toothpicks on top of the sandwich. And I'm going to teach you a little bit about industrial printing color separation, since we didn't get to that last class. Today's class, this is when we turn in the assignment 5, which just has those 3 requirements, your sketch, your line art, and then a coloring solution, saved as a PNG out of Photopea or Photoshop. And then we're going to introduce our next assignment, which is adding type design text to that spot illustration to make a full poster layout. Now, let's look ahead a little bit. We introduce assignment 6 today at the end of class. We're going to do what's called a text blocking sketch for it, figure out what we want. Then we're going to be learning how to make black type design on Wednesday. And then we're going to be adding color to it and making full posters on November 11th. And then when it's due on November 13th is also when your individual student presentations are due. So even though we'll have 2 days of student presentations, you want to have your slides ready and posted by November 13th. So if you haven't chosen your subject yet, your artist yet, for your individual presentation, do not delay. It's not a good thing to procrastinate on, because finding an artist you like can actually help you to do a better job on these assignments 5 and 6. So again, if you look under unit modules, and you go down to Unit 13 for individual presentations, you'll see what the requirements are, you'll see past student examples, and you'll end up on the page where you can sign up for your artist, which you guys are starting to do. Remember, as you add your reply, make sure you're not choosing anyone that's already claimed, right? It's first come, first serve. All right. How do you find a good artist? I recommend Behance. You can also, use any other means, but this is a great way to search and find digital artists working right now, looking for employment very often, so they'll advertise their work on Behance, and you can see different solutions, different artists. This is one that does type design and identity design, so this is a typeface that they did. This is called typography. We're going to be doing that with assignment 6. Here we have a little animated icon. And then it's all put together into marketing campaigns. And so if that artist seems interesting to you, they've done a lot. And we could research them. One that was recommended to me from Behance was this guy, Overtake, and these t-shirt designs for Overtake. The artist is actually from Lima, Peru, Danilo Lanes. And some of it's digital painting, some of it's spot illustration, some of it's text design, but could be a fun artist to present on if you like that kind of work. Yes, any digital artist that's living and working today, like right now, contemporary. That is our individual presentation. So it's Unit 13, just like we did our group presentations. They're kind of going on in the background while we're working on our assignments. But let's say I chose this guy, and I wanted to present on him. I could research him. I can find his website, right, on the profile page off of Behance. And it's not that every artist that shows up on Behance is pretty legitimate and and has kind of a pretty strong digital footprint, but most of them do, right? So, like they've worked for Marvel, and like the Hawkeye,
Clint Barton,
like animations, yep, and promotional images. And they've worked for different t-shirt companies to do t-shirt designs, which goes right into what our spot illustration and poster projects are about. And then sometimes we'll animate them. So there's lots there that you could work with. But as you're researching them and as you're finding good examples of their work, you might get inspired by their color palette. You might get inspired by their ways of coloring, whether it's flat color, whether it's vectors, whether it's duotone, whether it's soft edge, all these things you'll start to see in the work you like. And that's the idea of having your individual presentations going on in the background here. So it can inform some of the skills you're learning. So in the assignment, you'll see that link. And so you go to Behance, and in any Behance page, you can always just search. So you can just search topics.
Oh, okay.
So he's just one example, right? That you can look at their profile and see all of their projects. But if I just search for something I like poster design, I'll see, and I like how Behance does this, I'll see a lot of poster design posts, and these are the most recent. So some of these are just posted today. So it really exposes you to stuff you may not have been aware of, right? So here's a poster for something called Boo Fest. And he shows you the design, and then this is the artist, B. Souza. Looks like a lot of psychedelic design. And so if you're interested in this artist, they're from Brazil. They have a link to her private website, right? What's great about Behance is often they will show process work along with it. But you'll get a lot of that image information with their portfolio. So it's a good place to discover an artist, right, that you want to know more about. And then sometimes you can just Google interviews with them. So they also have an Instagram, and often you can find stuff on their Instagram about their process, their work. And I'll often have students just contact the artist, like you can just use the DMs and Instagram and kind of ask them certain questions you want answered. Say it's for a presentation, and maybe they'll get back to you. Maybe that can be like one of your extras.
So, quick question.
Yeah.
So, I actually know some Polynesian tattoo artists from New Zealand.
Do they do digital as part of their work at all?
I'm not sure.
So that's the tricky thing.
So
Because we're a digital art class, digital needs to be a main part of their practice. But yeah, they might do their designs digitally and then tattoo them traditionally, right? Yeah. Yeah, so absolutely. If you like their designs and their digital designs, you can definitely show that. Yeah, so your presentation person does not need to be a professional. Could be a friend, but you want to have enough examples, like minimum 7, maximum 15 of varied artworks you can showcase. And just follow that assignment sheet. It's very similar to the midterm presentation, but it's on one artist or one kind of team that you present on individually. Okay? So back to finishing assignment 5. So far, this is what we've done in our playlist with assignment 5. We did our vector line art. We put in flat color. And by the end of the last class, we were uploading to Canvas full spectrum coloring effects, right? So if we look at the assignment, we can skip to it just by going to assignments and then down to where we post assignment 5. We've learned so much. We can see what the requirements are, a refined sketch, clean line art with digital inking, and then color raster illustration behind the digital line art. That's what we're turning in to finish the assignment. Let's see how far we've gotten. I have the sketch, I got the clean line art, and then I've got the coloring, and this is as far as I got with full spectrum. Now, this is a digital coloring sandwich, and I want to expose you and inform you about all the different things you can put on that sandwich. That's what this little handout is about. So I got up to this stage, the full spectrum lemon, and I'll review kind of the differences between them. So I'll do this by opening up my file, and I'm going to open it up in Photopea, because we're the freeware class. And even though we had to make our line art using Illustrator to get a vector, so we didn't have to pay for a vectorizer, we're going to continue to use freeware to color it. So I find my best PSD file. There it is. And that is what I bring into Photopea. All right, now let's look at my layers. And let's get reminded of the digital coloring sandwich. Now it's called that because we have black bread on the top. The black bread is the black vector line art. So notice it's a smart object, it's locked. You don't want to accidentally rasterize that because that allows this illustration to be any size at perfect quality you want. Then the coloring underneath, that goes underneath the top slice of bread. So what's the bottom slice of bread? It's the white bread on the bottom, right? So we have a slice of white bread, just a blank white layer. And then we have the black bread at the top, and then anything that's in between those pieces of bread, that's your digital color. So we start with the most basic. That's the cheese layer. That's just filling in the shapes. Sometimes you have to do it with a lasso. Sometimes you have to do it with a paintbrush. I was able, because I have mostly contained shapes, to do it with the paint bucket. And you just find the colors you want. Those colors are local colors. So they're the color the thing is, no matter the lighting condition. So this donut, I chose kind of a tan cake donut with pink frosting. The cigarette filter, this cigarette paper here is the only one that I actually split into duotone. So duotone is when you take that local flat color that everything is, think of Charlie Brown's shirt being yellow, and then you give it a light and a dark version so that you can show a direction of light. Like I say, Charlie Brown standing in front of an oncoming train, right? And you think of the headlights from the train creating drama, and there's shadow on the back of him. Duotone can be done in two different ways, or a combination of two different ways. Hard edge is what they use in animation, called cell shading. And that's where you go between the highlights and the shadows with a crisp edge. So that's why it's sometimes called cut edge, or in animation, cell shaded. So let's see that here. That's my flat color, like Charlie Brown, right? My duotone cuts out that flat color into lights and darks. Duotone hard edge. The other type of duotone is soft edge. You see it on this lemon here, where you're still using just light and dark versions of the local color, but you soften and blur between them. So that's what soft edge looks like. It's so soft, it's barely noticeable. So I strengthened it a little bit. There we go. And then full spectrum is when you start to play with other colors besides the local colors. So for the lemon here, now it's not just yellows inside the lemon, it's also purples and greens and some oranges and browns, right? Not just lights and darks anymore, but more spectrum colors. And for my vote, you can see that with my full spectrum, very subtle. Purples up here, yellows down here, that I just did with a gradient overlay. So you can see how these different colors are getting kind of mixed in to my flat colors. You can see that even on just the red check mark, how I'm introducing kind of yellow into it. And that's